Hey everyone, welcome back to Williamson Ridge Outdoors. Today we are out back behind the house. We actually just had a tree service come in and cut some trees, and one of them, I just had them cut it down, and then that way I could saw it up into my pieces and my firewood lengths and all that kind of stuff. I was actually going to try this myself, but I actually got to walking around the tree and it had quite a bit of lean back towards my house. And I was like, I'm not even going to take a chance on that because it's just too big of a risk. A lot of the limbs and stuff were actually growing over top of the house, and that's why we were actually looking at doing anything to it. And we ended up having a tree service come out here and look at the tree, and was going to have them trim the trees. But then, we were talking about where it's so close to the house that in just a couple years, again, it's going to be doing the same thing, plus some issues with the tree might actually cause it to have problems in the future. And he could see some places in the tree that were bad, and he actually recommended just going ahead and taking the tree completely out. So we were originally going to do only 2 trees, and I was going to cut this one myself. Ended up, once I found out where all the lean and stuff was and the weight of the tree, then it kind of just scared me. So I was like, you know what, let's go ahead and throw the 3rd tree in there, and you all can just take it down for me and make sure, it goes away from the house, and then I'll finish cutting it up. So anyways, that's what we're out here today. They just finished up a little while ago. I just got in from work, and the sun is actually setting, so I only have a few minutes before it gets dark. But I figured I'd go ahead and get a start on this. And I'm actually using the Kubota 40-volt pole saw on this because, as you can see, a bunch of these limbs and stuff are sticking way up in the air. And I could come in there with the saw and start cutting them off back here at the bottom, but then I'd have to move, these pretty large tree branches out, like one at a time. So what my plan is here is to actually work out here where the stuff is too small for firewood and cut off all that end stuff and just go ahead and drag it out of the way and work back to the size of where that there's actually firewood. So I think with this pole saw I can actually do that and get it trimmed to the point where everything is firewood, and I'll just make a brush pile over here on one side, or once I move that out of the way, then I'll start using some other saws and stuff to cut up the rest of the tree. So my plan was to actually showcase some battery chainsaws, but I went in the garage, and where it's cold outside right now, some of those batteries are in the fault mode. The temperature delay is showing on the chargers. So that brings me to a point on battery versus gas, because if you're in the wintertime and your batteries are cold and you can't charge your batteries, then what good's a battery chainsaw going to do? You have to keep those batteries in like a room temperature type area and then take them out and use them, and then bring them back in where it's warm again to charge them back up, unless the warmth from the battery will allow the charger to kick on and actually charge it up. The pole saw right here, the Kubota, it actually, I don't know if it don't have that same feature, but the battery's charged up, and the one sitting on the charger shows that it's fine, it's charging up, and there's no delay or anything on it. I think all we're going to get done today is probably trimming a bunch of this brush off the tree and trying to get down to the firewood size pieces. I am surprised at the size of this tree. I measured this a little while ago, and it's 29 inches at the bottom end of the tree, which when it's standing there on the stump, and it's standing up, it didn't look like it was nearly that big. So that leads me to a question for you all. This is actually a big pin oak tree, and there's a section here about 10 feet long that is straight as an arrow, and it's about 30 inches, and it's probably still 28 or 29 up here, 10 feet up on the log. So does a pin oak make a good saw log? So leave in the comments below what you think, and whether this would be something maybe I should save that 10-foot log and be able to save that for a saw log for our Alaskan sawmill. You know, I've said in videos in the past, you know, about how much I actually enjoy running these battery operated chainsaws and pole saws and all that stuff. They're just so quiet. Whenever you quit using it, everything is just quiet. And whenever you're, you know, out here, you know, it's sitting, it's peaceful, you know, and you cut off a few limbs and then you start, you know, working your limbs away from the tree. You kind of have your thoughts to yourself. You can hear, you know, the birds or the, you know, the wildlife around.